Merry Christmas.
Buddy's life at the North Pole is unique. He towers over the other elves, struggling with toy making due to his size. His large hands fumble with the delicate instruments and small components, which often results in mishaps that, while humorous, leave him feeling out of place. His cheerful demeanor and hearty laughter, however, endear him to all, making him a beloved figure despite his clumsiness. One evening, while cleaning the deeper, seldom-used shelves of Santa's grand library, Buddy discovers a hidden letter behind an ancient tome of Christmas magic. This letter, faded and written with elegant handwriting, reveals a startling truth. Buddy's biological father is not an elf, but a human named Norman Osborn, a wealthy businessman from New York City. Confused and needing guidance, Buddy seeks out Santa, who sits him down beside the crackling fireplace in his office. Santa explains that many years ago, Norman Osborn had visited the North Pole on a secretive philanthropic mission. During his visit, he had a brief romantic involvement with Buddy's mother, an elf who had always possessed a wanderlust for the world beyond their snowy haven. Armed with this new knowledge and with Santa's blessing and a magical snow globe that guides him to his heart's desire, Buddy decides to leave the North Pole. His fellow elves organize a touching farewell, providing him with elf-made gifts and gadgets that might help him on his journey to the bustling and unfamiliar New York City. Arriving in New York, Buddy is overwhelmed by the stark differences between the calm, joyful North Pole and the chaotic, crowded streets of Manhattan. He marvels at the skyscrapers and the relentless pace of city life, all adorned with festive decorations that remind him of home, yet feel superficial in the hustle of the city. Determined to find his father, Buddy navigates to Oscorp Tower, a monumental building of glass and steel that stands as a fortress in the heart of the city. The receptionist, upon seeing Buddy in his elf costume, is bewildered but dismisses him as another holiday eccentric until Buddy mentions Norman Osborn's name and insists on seeing him. Norman, in the midst of a critical business meeting, is interrupted with the news of Buddy's arrival. Reluctantly, he agrees to meet him, curious yet skeptical. The encounter is brief and disheartening. Norman, seeing Buddy's elf attire and hearing his claim, immediately doubts his sanity. He rejects Buddy harshly, causing a scene in front of his colleagues. "What is this? A joke? Look at you standing there in that ridiculous outfit. You think because you found a letter and share a few features, you can waltz into my life and claim kinship? You're an embarrassment, a foolish clown at best. If this is some attempt at humor, it's profoundly misplaced. Get out of my office, get out of my building, and don't ever show your face here again. You're not my son. You're just a sad little man in an elf costume, nothing more," Norman said. Dejected but not defeated, Buddy leaves Oscorp, but vows to try again. His belief that family is fundamentally good and forgiving stems from his upbringing at the North Pole, and he cannot reconcile this image with Norman's cold dismissal. Buddy decides to explore New York, trying to understand the environment that shaped his father. He visits landmarks, interacts with locals, and slowly starts to see the city's beauty and harshness, the stark disparities between wealth and poverty, the mix of cynicism and hope among the people he meets, all start to paint a more complex picture of his father's world. Meanwhile, Norman Osborn, puzzled and slightly disturbed by the encounter, starts to investigate Buddy's claims. He digs into his past, unearthing details of his long-forgotten visit to the North Pole. The possibility that Buddy might actually be his son begins to haunt him, prompting a conflicted curiosity. After several attempts, Buddy finally convinces Norman to give him a chance to prove his relation. Norman, driven by a mix of curiosity and a latent sense of responsibility, allows Buddy into his life but keeps him at arm's length, involving him superficially in Oscorp's community projects as a test. Norman secretly conducts DNA tests to confirm Buddy's claims, while introducing him to Oscorp's public-facing operations. To Norman's dismay and growing unease, the tests confirm Buddy's lineage. Despite this revelation, Norman struggles with his feelings towards Buddy, torn between his own harsh worldview and the undeniable bond of blood. As Buddy becomes more involved with Oscorp, he is initially dazzled by the technology and the apparent good that the company projects to the public. He participates in public charity events, helps with toy drives, and uses his elf skills to bring smiles to children's faces, believing he is finally connecting with his father's world. However, Buddy soon stumbles upon the darker aspects of Oscorp. He accidentally discovers a restricted area where secretive experiments on human enhancement are conducted. This discovery is the first real crack in his idealistic image of Norman and Oscorp, sowing seeds of doubt about the integrity of his father and the company. Conflicted, Buddy seeks advice from MJ and Harry, who have been watching his integration into Norman's world with concern. They share their own reservations and fears about Norman's methods and motives, which only deepens Buddy's confusion and apprehension. Buddy's presence at Oscorp begins to attract media attention, drawing mixed reactions from the public and the company's board. Norman grows increasingly uncomfortable with the attention, fearing it could unravel more than just his personal secrets. The turning point comes during an Oscorp gala, intended to showcase new technologies for urban sustainability. Buddy, hoping to make his father proud, accidentally triggers a malfunction that causes a blackout, embarrassing Norman in front of New York's elite. This incident drastically shifts Norman's demeanor from reluctant acceptance to open hostility. Norman's wrath culminates in a confrontation where he berates Buddy for his incompetence and naivete. Feeling betrayed and unwanted, Buddy is left to question the very essence of his journey to New York. He begins to see that his father's world is built on ambition and control, very much at odds with the values he cherished at the North Pole. Desperate for answers and a sense of belonging, Buddy digs deeper into Oscorp's projects, uncovering plans that threaten the very fabric of human freedom and dignity. He realizes that these projects could have global implications far beyond the corporate greed he initially suspected. Feeling a moral obligation to stop these plans, Buddy decides to take a stand. He begins to gather evidence, reaching out to MJ and Harry for help in exposing the truth about Oscorp. As he assembles the pieces of a larger puzzle, the full scope of Norman's ambition becomes clear, setting the stage for a dramatic confrontation that will test Buddy's courage and his father's resolve. Norman, infuriated by Buddy's meddling and the risk it poses to his empire, decides to take drastic measures. He lures Buddy into meeting him under the guise of reconciling and discussing his future at Oscorp. However, the meeting is a trap, and Norman confronts Buddy in a secluded alleyway near Oscorp, where he brutally assaults him. The assault is a pivotal moment for Buddy, who realizes the depth of his father's ruthlessness. Injured and disillusioned, he is helped by a group of homeless individuals who have also suffered from Oscorp's exploitation. They take him to a shelter where Buddy learns about the broader impact of his father's actions on the city's most vulnerable. As Buddy recovers among the city's forgotten, he hears tales of Norman's greed and the destruction it has wrought on families and communities. These stories fuel his resolve to bring Norman down, transforming his personal quest into a broader battle for justice. Armed with new determination and the support of his friends from the shelter, Buddy begins to plan his next moves. He reaches out to MJ and Harry, who are increasingly concerned about Norman's escalating aggression and the danger it poses not just to Buddy but to the entire city. Buddy and his allies start surveilling Oscorp, gathering evidence of illegal activities and unethical experiments. During one of these surveillance missions, Buddy discovers that Norman is the Green Goblin, a revelation that shocks him to his core. Confronting Norman becomes inevitable. Buddy arranges to meet him at his mansion, hoping to appeal to any remaining shred of humanity in his father. The meeting quickly turns violent, with Norman fully embracing his Green Goblin persona and attacking Buddy. Every time you speak, I regret ever letting you through those doors. You're not just a failure, you're an embarrassment. You think you can just show up and disrupt my life? You're a nobody, an accident. Don't ever forget that, Norman said. The fight is brutal and personal, with Norman using his advanced technology and combat skills to overpower Buddy. In a fit of rage, he throws Buddy through a glass window, seriously injuring him. Norman then reveals his plan to destroy Santa's workshop, intending to end Christmas forever as a demonstration of his power. Your beloved Santa is on my list, Buddy, and unlike his, my list only has one outcome: death. The goblin laughed maniacally, leaving Buddy to bleed out. I'm gonna finish Santa nice and slow, Norman said as he laughed. He took Buddy's face and smashed it through a glass table, kicking him in the gut multiple times. You see, Buddy, this is the real world, harsh and unforgiving. You're nothing here, just a pathetic little elf out of his fairy tale. It's almost amusing how you thought you could be part of my life. Look at you now. Weak and powerless under my hands. This is what happens to dreams in the real world. They get crushed, just like you, Norman said. Believing he has neutralized Buddy, Norman leaves to execute his plan. Buddy, however, is not as gravely injured as Norman believes. Buddy begins to get back up slowly, crawling towards the table with shards of glass in his suit. The once green suit now covered in blood. Buddy realizes that he must get to the control room before it's too late, before Green Goblin kills Santa. Buddy looked to his side and saw a room filled with Norman's equipment. Buddy saw all of the pumpkin bombs, gliders, and other items everywhere. He went to the shelf containing the bombs and picked one up. It ends tonight, Norman. I won't let you destroy Christmas, not for everyone who still believes, he said. Buddy called MJ and told her about what was going on. MJ then let Harry and Peter know about the situation, and that Harry's father was also the Green Goblin. This shocked everyone, but time was ticking, and Peter knew that they had to stop the goblin once and for all. Peter ran away as MJ and Harry were distracted, and Peter got into his Spider-Man costume and began making his way to the control room. As Norman sets his plan into motion, Buddy rallies a group of Oscorp whistleblowers and disenfranchised citizens to expose and disrupt his operations. They infiltrate Oscorp, hacking into the company's systems to reveal Norman's crimes to the public and sabotage his network. The battle reaches its climax at Oscorp headquarters on Christmas Eve, as Norman initiates the launch of a satellite that would spell doom for Santa's workshop. Buddy and his allies fight their way through Oscorp's security to reach the control room. In the control room, a final confrontation unfolds between Buddy and Norman. As Buddy confronts his father, prepared to use one of his pumpkin bombs to kill him, Spider-Man swings into the scene and uses his web holding onto the bomb. Tears streamed down Buddy's face as he stood over Norman Osborn, the pumpkin bomb quivering in his trembling hands. The weight of his father's betrayal and the pain of countless deceptions had led him to this moment, a moment of reckoning that could end it all. But as he raised the bomb, a swift blur of red and blue swooped down. Buddy, I know it hurts. I know he's caused you so much pain, but this isn't the way. With great power comes great responsibility. You have the power to make a choice right now, the choice to be better than him. Don't let your pain turn you into something you're not. You're better than that, buddy. You're a hero in your own right, and heroes choose mercy, Spider-Man said. Buddy fell to his knees. I just wanted it to stop. I thought, if he was gone, the pain would stop too, he said. I know, buddy. Sometimes stopping the pain seems like the only way out, but it's not. We have to find the strength to face our challenges, not erase them. Let's end this cycle of pain, not perpetuate it. Let's save Christmas, not just for the world, but for you too, he said. Spider-Man captured Norman while Buddy used his magic and the goodwill he had fostered in the city to restore the Christmas spirit. The global outpouring of joy and unity powers Santa's sleigh, saving Christmas. In the aftermath of the crisis, Buddy chooses to stay in New York, using his abilities and newfound purpose to protect the city and spread joy. He becomes a symbol of hope and resilience, working alongside heroes like Spider-Man to make the city a better place. New York celebrates a Christmas that nearly didn't happen. Buddy, surrounded by friends and admirers, watches Santa's sleigh glide across the sky, a reminder of the magic and wonder he helped preserve. In his heart, he knows he's finally found his place in the world, not just as Norman Osborn's son, but as a hero in his own right.